Rob Dew here with Infowars.com, and we are standing just south of downtown Austin, Texas. And we've had Dr. Nick Begich, who came to visit the studio the last few days. And last night we had a dinner with him, myself, Alex, and our wives, and it was very interesting. We got into a lot of subjects, and we almost broke out the camera and started doing a Facebook mentions. And at the time, it was kind of a crowded restaurant, and I pulled out a big light and started shining it everywhere, and Alex was like, no, we'll just do it tomorrow. So he said, go outside, find a nice place outside. We were looking at Zilker Park. There was, an event going on there. So we're here, and this is Butler Park. Let's take a little pan around. Nice little green space just south of downtown. So we're kind of here opening things up. This is going to be a pretty relaxed Facebook mentions. It's not going to be as intense as Alex likes to get, but we're going to talk about some really interesting stuff. I got Dr. Nick Begich right here, actually. Here he is. And so, Dr. Nick, last night we started talking about, and we almost started doing the Facebook mentions, talking about looking into someone's soul. And so I guess we have superficial looks, and then you have these intense gazes. So I guess let's start there. We'll use that as a jumping point and see where this conversation takes us. And we have plenty of time. There's people out there watching. What's the numbers up right now?
716.
So about 700 people are watching. This is going to grow throughout the the 30 or so minutes that we're talking. But let's just start with that. What is the key to making that connection, that human connection that we seem to be lacking in this modern world?
Well, it's something I discovered at a really late age, at 52 actually, and I thought everybody did it. And when I look in someone's eyes, I see a human soul. I don't see a physical form. I don't see your body. I mean, of course, I see it physically standing in front of me, but when I actually look into a person's eyes, I perceive them. I connect with them. And I thought everybody did this. I mean, this is kind of the way I've always lived. And what I discovered at 52, 6 years ago, is that, in fact, most people don't ever see that. And for me, that was a really serious transformative moment, in the sense that how can a person live in this world without having the ability to recognize another living being, another living soul? And it was upsetting. I mean, it was really upsetting to me. Still, a lot of emotion comes with that thought, because to connect with people, to recognize the God in each person is through the eyes, actually. And this is why personal connection, by being next to someone, by being in someone's presence, is so much more relevant than the kind of interfaces that people use today, the electronic interface. And what I thought was normal for most people, I found out was kind of the exception. Mm-hmm. But this is the root of communication, when you connect with someone on that level. And I mean, when we were talking last night, we kind of went through a bunch of different things, and it sort of ended in this discussion about this kind of recognition of what we really are. And when you think about what we really are, I mean, we have a body of what I call my carrier, which is the way I look at it. Mm-hmm. Every cell in my body is replaced about every 7 years, which means 7 years ago, I was a completely different physical form. But I'm not changed. I'm evolving all the time. I'm experiencing things all the time. But in the 58 years now that I've lived, my body has totally been replaced 8 times, going into time number 9. But I'm still the same human being. In fact, when I look back to my earliest memories as a child, I remember looking in a mirror and seeing this body and going, I'm really frustrated because I got this small body. I don't have a lot of experience. But when I look back on that moment, I'm no different than I was then. I just have a lifetime of experiences hanging on this frame. But those experiences, they don't define me. They don't describe me completely. In fact, last night we were talking about sort of the good news in life and the bad news in life and how it hits us. And those are the opportunities, because in 1 week, for instance, I had the worst situation, aside from my father's disappearance, happening, and then in the same week, the absolute best thing that had ever happened to me. And in that moment of recognition, I realized that neither the greatest things in life or the worst in life define who we are. But we are behind that. We are behind our experiences, observing those experiences, but they are not us. We are so much more than that.
Well, how did we lose that human connection? People still go out. There's people out here at the park talking and stuff, but it doesn't seem like that our society's become very phone-based. You see a lot of people, although today I don't see too many people walking around looking at their phones because they're out enjoying this beautiful day we're having here in Austin. But where did the turning point happen where technology seemed to become like the main force of communication for humans?
Well, I think, I think starting with television. When you start to think about how people began to spend their time, even going back to radio. Radio was kind of a restricted thing. You listen to it in the background.
Well, you had to come up with the images in your mind.
Right, so you're active.
Exactly.
And it was a family event. You sat around, listened to the radio, but you discussed what was going on. And it was kind of an opportunity to sort of open an audio newspaper, if you will. Then we moved to television, which became more of a feed situation. And in fact, they even call it programming because essentially that's what it is. You're in front of the TV, receiving the information in a state of super relaxed awareness. In fact, if you think about it, when you're watching television, most people come home very tired at the end of the day and they're watching the news feed and their wife or their husband is saying, hey, dinner's ready, dinner's ready. And they don't even hear them.
Right.
And the reason they don't hear them is they're actually in between state. It's a theta alpha state where the brain is quite relaxed, you're attentive and aware, and it's almost a state of light trance, where that data that's coming in is being imprinted on you, in a way that is really anchoring. That's why advertising is so effective. That's why the population has begun, the culture shapes based on what the data feed is. And so you look at culture, it's a total reflection of television and media. And it's an illusion, quite frankly. And that illusion sort of takes us further and further away from our humanity, our ability to connect with people. I think that's sort of where it begins, and now virtually all of our world is situated in the same way. So that our interfaces with people are filtered through an electronic medium. This is a huge mistake. It's absolutely critical for people to connect with each other, physically connect, be in the presence of each other. It's why I came to Austin this week. I had heard and I felt in my heart that my friend Alex Jones was going through some tough times. And that's when people need to arrive. That's when you need to show up. That's when you need to stop what you're doing and get on the plane and go see someone and encourage them in the fight that we're all in together. And to recognize that the fight is not the finish line that's relevant. It's how we carry ourselves, how we walk through each day. The final decisions aren't ever going to be ours individually. They're going to be ours collectively. What is our job? To inspire, to awaken within ourselves our own internal revolution, and then to help others awaken that revolution. And that's where we were in that discussion last night that really got exciting, because the idea is that we can do this. Individually, that's where the revolution starts. We can help awaken each other by recognizing what we are and looking at the circumstances in life very, very differently. One thing that you asked about, what's the big shift? It's about paying attention. It's about paying attention to the fine things.
Being conscious.
Being consciously aware. Sitting here having this conversation, I'm still aware of the wind. I feel the energy in my hands. I see the sun in my face. The sky is still blue. I see the people around me, but I'm still engaged in this conversation by I am paying attention. My awareness is not lost in my words and lost in my emotion. It's pushing them out. It's moving them out. This is a very, very different way of viewing the world. Instead of just talking and thinking and feeling, you're paying attention to what you're thinking. And you are the awareness behind those thoughts. This is fundamentally why when I look in someone's eyes, I recognize that awareness behind their form. I see them as a living soul. I connect with them as a living soul. I exchange energy with them as a living soul. And when we're together, we feel it, we know it, we can sense it. And that's what triggers that internal spark in another, because you're transferring compassion, empathy, love, consideration in that interaction. That's what enlivens people. That's what triggers that change in people. It's a recognition that you're not alone, that you are connected, that we're all connected. Fundamentally, we are created in the image of a creator. All of us. It's not how we look, it's the energy that we are.